Okay, so we'll start with you giving your name, where you're from, and what you do.
Cool. Alise Schostrom. I am from near Bruton, Minnesota, and I am the co-founder and owner of Redhead Creamery near Bruton. We're a dairy farm and a farmstead cheese, and soon to be a farmstead distillery as well.
Distillery, what?
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
exciting.
we are probably weeks away from running our still, so we're really excited to get things rolling.
Okay, so we'll get into that. I feel like we're kind of jumping the gun there. Let's
Sure.
get the backstory of Redhead Creamery. How did you get started on your farming journey?
Well, Redhead Creamery, I mean, the name in general came from the fact that my three sisters and I all have red hair. And we grew up on the dairy farm that the creamery is located on. And we were highly involved in 4-H and other dairy promotional events and avenues. My mom was a chair of the Minnesota division of the Dairy Promotion Board. And so things like that, where that's what I grew up with and always loved what we did and thought I'm going to continue that somehow, but I didn't really want to milk cows the rest of my life because I didn't want to be bogged down on a schedule, not knowing that what I did choose really is still the same schedule. But when I was a senior in high school, I visited Crave Brothers Farmstead Cheese in central Wisconsin, and they're pipelining the milk under the road from their farm over to their cheese plant, and it was my like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. And so through food marketing and working for several cheese companies and taking some hands-on classes and being part of the American Cheese Society really has built up everything I needed. And, I still am continuing to learn a lot, but gave me the tools to get this rolling on my family's farm. So my husband and I moved to our farm in 2012 when our daughter was only 3 weeks old.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, which, it's a really good time to move a child because them in your little carrier and they're good to go. So we broke ground in 2013 and we're making cheese by 2014. And so we'll be celebrating our 10-year anniversary this coming year and really excited about what's to come. I mentioned very briefly about we're starting up a distillery and we're opening up a bigger kitchen. And we're just really big on education and showing what agriculture and dairy farming is truly about and being very transparent about what we do. And so I appreciate that you wanted to visit with us and look forward to continually sharing that with people.
Well, I think it's just so cool to see how people have been pivoting from like the traditional idea of farming, which I grew up in rural Minnesota too. So I didn't grow up on a farm. I was out of town, but we didn't have any livestock or anything like that. So my idea of farming was always you go out, you milk the cows, you work the ground, and that's just kind of the base knowledge that I had. So seeing what you have done and turning this into making cheese and these incredible products and hosting events and educating other people, I love to see that there's so much more to farming than just the basic knowledge that people like me have.
Yeah, there really is even more than what we do. But a lot of the reason we evolved and why a lot of you're seeing that a lot is that we need to compete in the market and being able to specialize and create value-added products really allows a farm to put their money in different baskets or be receiving money from different baskets
Yeah.
in order to survive. And so it's a great way to split up what we're all good at. My husband works in dairy policy. My dad is a true dairyman. My mom is really good with food and cooking, and I love marketing and making products. So it allows us to be doing what we like to do, but still be involved in our farm. And so it's a really cool way to do that.
That is really cool. Everyone in the family just kind of has a different talent and they put it to use.
Yes, totally.
So your cheeses are incredible. Full disclosure, I have a dairy allergy, like life or death dairy allergy,
Oh no.
but I did risk it all one time to try your cheese. And it was fantastic.
Well, I am glad you're here to talk with us today.
And my mom had brought it home. She had picked it up somewhere and she's like, "Oh my gosh, this place is close to where we're from. We got to try it." And I'm like, "You know, I can't try it." And she's like, "I know, but you could like sniff it." And then I took like a big old whiff of it. I'm like, "Oh, it smells so good. I'm just gonna like chew on it a little bit and spit it out." And it was worth it, man. It was so worth it.
Oh, that's good.
So
Oh,
let's
thank
kind
you.
of give people a rundown on some of the different cheese products you make. What did you initially start with and where are you at now?
Yeah, we started with fresh cheese curds because, we're in the Midwest and cash flow is a good thing. Uh and our Lucky Linda is our cloth bound cheddar. That was our first solid like aged cheese that we started making. And it's a cloth bound cheddar, so we wrap that wheel in linen cloth and age it for at least 6 months before it can be sold. So that's why curds are so important to have because you're sitting on product for a long time. And so that really was our first product for about a year and a half. And we started making our little Lucy Brie, which is a small scale, soft, bloomy rind cheese named after my daughter Lucy. Lucky Linda is my mother, Linda. Little Lucy really is by far our most popular cheese and is something that we wanted to make because we love Brie, and that's why we decided to make it. So it's fun to see that as being our most popular. And then from there, we just kind of evolve as opportunities present themselves or as mistakes happen and we accidentally create a new cheese and see if people like it or not and then continue it. But like our garlic cheddar is super popular because we really introduced it at the Minnesota Garlic Festival, which is in Hutchinson, I think the second weekend of August every
Hmm.
year. And it is such a cool event, but we had to bring garlic cheddar. And so we started making that, and we were making a simple vacuum sealed wheel of garlic cheddar and putting it in the cooler to age. And we were running out of room in our coolers, but we had lots of room in our aging spaces. So I decided let's age it like we do our Lucky Linda and see what happens. And it ended up being so much better and such a good cheese. So, things evolve and change as we go. But a lot of other cheeses we make, like our whiskey washed Munster, we love involving alcohol in some way if we can to wash the rind on the outside of the cheese. It just makes it that much more unique. And we usually try to use alcohol from a neighboring maker. So we use cider for milk and honey ciders in St. Joe. We use whiskey from Panther Distillery in Osakis. Just always trying to work with our neighbors and neighboring companies to express the cool things that we're making in central Minnesota.
Well, and just what a cool way to keep everyone involved and keep everything local. I mean, there's just been such a huge push for that lately. And when you can give that name recognition to someone who maybe knows about the distillery but doesn't know about you or vice versa, like
Mhm.
it rings a bell in people's heads and they're like, "Oh, well, that's cool. They're partnering together. I want to buy that."
Yeah, totally.
That's
Yeah, it's
awesome.
been really fun.
So, how has infrastructure changed on your farm from like when you grew up to what you're working with now? Because I'm sure you need space, like you said, for things to age, coolers. Has that been just like a total shift?
Yeah, well, and a lot of things, even on the farm side, have changed a lot or evolved since I was a kid. So when we wanted to start the cheese company, we built a new building in order to make, age, and sell cheese. So we had a cheese shop. We have a pipeline that runs from our barn into our cheese make room and aging rooms. So we have that. And then in the last year, we've added a building that was twice the size of that building. And so we now have an extensive building that I'm now sitting in that we will be processing milk to cheese and then to whey and then to spirits all in one building. And it's a really cool, we're still excited, which I hope that we are for a while. But it's really cool to be able to utilize everything in one space. But in terms of our farm too, my parents really have always been very neat and tidy people and always expressed that in our farm as well. And so the opportunity to start giving farm tours and showing people what we do, it made sense and it was somewhat easy at first because our farm was pretty much ready to go. So we do put a lot of effort into keeping our farm clean and visible, ready to be visible to anyone at any time. And since I was a kid, we've switched from milking in a tie stall barn where the cows are all in stanchions sitting in the barn to a freestall barn where they're free to roam, and a standing milking parlor to a parallel parlor, and we now have milking robots. So it's a lot has changed in the 44 years that they've been milking cows. And it's really cool to watch that all evolve.
It's really special when you've been there for most of the process and seen those evolutions happen.
It is, yes.
So let's talk more about this distillery. So it's going from milk to cheese to whey to spirits. How does that work? My brain can't compute that.
It's okay. No, even a few years ago, my husband and I brought some whey to a company that makes these filter systems. We got to see all the ways that milk can be split up into its components. And both of us grew up on dairy farms, so milk is very much part of our lives. And we're just like, this is so cool. And we were both terrible in chemistry in college, so that's how we got to know each other so well, which is very ironic. So you have the milk, you make the cheese, and then you have whey, which is 90% of what the milk was. Primarily water, but there's also lactose, so that's sugar. And there'll be a little bit of fat and a little bit of protein yet. We pump that whey over to a different space that has an ultrafiltration and a nanofiltration filter. And it will run through those filters and split the lactose out from the protein because protein will caramelize and make your still really nasty and hard to clean. So we're separating that and then we run it through a nanofilter to really get that lactose condensed into as concentrated of a product as we can. And then we're adding lactase, which splits lactose into glucose and galactose. We're getting very chemistry.
I love it.
And then we'll add yeast. The yeast then ferments it just like it would in a beer or a wine. You're utilizing the sugars in that product in order to ferment. That will then create alcohol. And we end up with like a 6 to 8% alcohol product that you would call a beer or a wine at that phase. It tastes okay, but not worth bottling at that phase. And so we'll then run that product through a still and we'll end up with a 90 proof alcohol that we'll bottle up and sell as Araga is the base product, which is a whey-based spirit. And then we'll make a gin, an aquavit, which is usually dill or caraway infused. And then we hope to make a barrel-aged version of it eventually, which that takes a few years.
Yeah, that takes some time.
Yeah, and then we'll probably have a vodka on hand as well. So that's our goal, and we're already fermenting right now at this stage, but our still is not technically hooked up yet. We're like a week away from that. So we're in the process, and hopefully by June, mid-June, we are 100% ready to go.
This is so exciting because this is something I've never heard of, and I try to stay on top of as much like fun and unique stuff as I can. And I've never heard of anyone starting with a milk product and then turning it into all these different things. Like I find this so fascinating, and I love that it's happening basically in central Minnesota's backyard. Like I feel like you're just on the cutting edge of this really cool thing, and I'm excited to follow this journey.
Cool, thanks. Yeah, there are not many companies that do this. There's maybe 10 in the world that make milk-based spirits. And so that the good and the bad is that we're very unique, but we have to do a lot of the research ourselves. So there's a lot of learning involved, and that's been an adventure. But I think it'll be really fun.
And it's just so perfect for Stearns County being the big dairy county that it is.
Right?
Like it's fitting that you're here and doing this.
Yeah, dairy and alcohol in Stearns County is very fitting.
Hand in hand, baby, hand in
Yes.
hand. And I also love like you guys are creative about like using every single part of the milk that you can. Like it's so smart.
It's just really cool. And, being people who grew up in dairy and always being maybe nerdly or overly passionate about dairy and what we do, and then finding something that's like even more mind-blowing is really cool. So it makes it that much more fun for us to showcase it and teach other people about it.
Well, and it's really cool for like the kids that are the nerdy dairy kids in school now, because like they can look up to you guys and go, look at what they're doing. I want to do that. That's awesome. That's what I can be when I grow up.
Totally.
So it's great that you guys are setting that example for the next
Thanks.
generation. So let's get into Curdfest. Little backstory on this. I used to work for 98 Country and we would write stories on the website. And this is one of those events where I would be hovering over your Facebook page, your website, whenever you would announce it. Like, I wanted to be the one that would post this on the website and tell everyone about it because people go nuts for this. Like, this is a huge deal.
Cool. Well, I appreciate knowing that now because we always noticed when 98 Country would post it and we're like, sweet.
Yep, that
They're
was
noticing.
yeah, that I was intense like on that.
Uh-huh. I love it. Um, yeah, so this is our sixth annual Curd Fest. Before this, we really started having open houses or, just events where we bring extra music or food or anything to our farm just to get people to come. And one year, my sister worked with me for a couple years, and she was like, why don't we give it a fun name? Because that might help promote it a little bit. Because open house, people think you're providing free food and free everything. And that was the
Hmm.
opposite of what we were actually trying to provide. And so she came up with the idea of calling it Curd Fest, and it just blew up because of the name. That first year after naming it, we had about 800 people come, and which was amazing. And then from there, it's continued to grow. So we bring in live music and other food vendors, food makers that are from the area as well, and breweries and wineries, and let them all showcase their products because they're our community, and it's really fun to have them all on one site for people to explore and check out.
Yeah, definitely. So this year, live music wise, you guys got Blue Loon Band, Second Nation, and Bowling for Johns. Great lineup there. That's
Thanks.
awesome. The food list is seemingly endless.
Good.
So
That's the
what are
goal.
what are you guys going to be showcasing on your end for the food?
We'll have our pan-fried cheese curds because that's really mostly what we are known for on our shop. But we're also serving our curd kebabs, and we do a chocolate and bacon covered curd kebab.
Oh my
And
gosh.
we were also talking about it this year because our theme is somewhat space oriented or the Milky Way, and maybe putting pop rocks or something on them and do something cool. But
That'd be
that's
fun.
still in the works, but that might happen.
That's really cool. And then you guys got a lot of great people coming out for beverages, milk and honey ciders. Northern Soda is one of my favorites. I love those guys. Bad Habit, that list is long too. And you got some other things going on. And Princess K of the Milky Way is going to be there. What? That's
Yes.
awesome.
We book her every year because she represents the dairy industry, but it's also fun to have her here to just show her what else is going on within our industry as well.
Well, it's just such a good hand in hand collaboration between her and you guys. Like it's seamless. Like there's no reason she shouldn't be out there. Then on the educational side of things, let's get into this. So you have like, is that a demonstration of your robotic milking or?
Yeah, so new this year, since we have robotic milkers, our cows are being, they'll go in and get milked whenever they want. And so the milkers are running 24/7. And they're since they're new too, we want someone to be around to explain what's going on and how the milkers work and why and how a cow actually produces milk. And so we'll have people standing there throughout the event to just explain what's going on and what they're seeing and how a cow gets milked.
That is so helpful because like I in my head like for it I know that there's robots that can do this, but in my head I'm still picturing like a farmer in coveralls going out there with a
I
pail
know.
and milking the cow.
Yes, that we, just like everyone else, we as farmers get tired and like to go on vacation every now and then. And the ability to utilize new technologies and continually strive to get better and find ways to do things better, this is definitely a huge improvement for us. So we're really excited.
Well, and if anyone deserves time off and vacations, it's the American farmer. Like you guys are grinding 24/7, 365, taking care of your land and your buildings and your animals. And like you guys deserve a break.
Well, thanks.
You guys deserve way more of a break than anyone will ever admit. Like I think you guys are the superheroes of the world. And I think it's so cool that you're putting your farm out there for everyone to experience and learn from and have fun at. Like, what a great opportunity.
Cool. Thank you.
So, if people are interested in coming out to Curdfest, how can they get tickets? Where can they find information?
Yeah, they should go to our website, which is redheadcreamery.com. And there is an events page that talks all about Curdfest, and you can buy your tickets directly there. And we have it set up this year where you can also pre-order tickets for our distillery tours and pre-order your drink tickets ahead of time so you don't have to wait in line right when you get there. Yeah, just really cool opportunities to get a little bit of ahead of the game and not wait in line for things.
Perfect. That would get all your stuff so you can just go and experience and you're not waiting in line.
Yes.
And I'll make sure I got the link down below in the show notes for everything as well. So easy access.
Cool.
Awesome. This has been just an absolute delight. I'm so glad that we got to connect and do this. And I'm excited to just watch this distillery journey that you're on because
Yes.
being so rare in the world, I think it's just going to be really fun to keep an eye on that and see what you guys do.
Cool. Thank you. I hope so too.
Awesome. Is there anything that we didn't cover that you'd like to touch on?
I don't know if I talked a lot about just the fact that we're open, with our store being open, being an open cheese shop. And I think I talked about our farm tours, but letting people know that we are an open cheese shop and carry other cheeses and products from other Minnesota makers and products that you can't necessarily find everywhere else. And so welcoming people to come and shop and have lunch because our kitchen will be open very soon. So mid to late May we'll be ready to go and providing very cheese centric foods, but also farm to fork related foods that we're excited to be able to showcase and present to people.
That's really cool. And then what are your hours on that?
Right now, we're open Fridays and Saturdays, and the hours are basically 12 to 4. That'll be evolving here as we get into June so that we can evolve with what's needed. And so that'll be updated on our website and our Facebook page always.
Cool. Sounds like a fun little day trip.
Yeah,
Awesome. Well, Elise, this has been absolutely wonderful. I'm so glad we could do this.
thank you. Me too.